In this video, we'll look at how to process the raw data from the Wanco traffic analyzer to create 85th percentiles per day. So we'll start by clicking on the raw data. From here, we want to expand the date column and enter another column so that we can apply a local time to the universal time code date. We do this with the formula equals, select the column, minus time, and then we're selecting the hour, which is 7, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds. From here, we can select this cell, copy it, go to the bottom of the column, hit Shift, select the last cell, and paste. Since this data is in a formula format, we'll then want to convert it into simply just values by copying and pasting special under values. From here, we'll add another column and we'll select under the data tab, text to columns to split up the date and the time. The option we want to select is fixed width. And you want to make sure that this is kind of set in the center of the two values. Click Next. For this column, we want to select text so that it formats it simply as text and not as a date format. Click Finish. So what has successfully been done is we've separated the dates and the times for the local Arizona date and time. Let's label these two columns as AZ date and AZ dash time. Next, we want to apply a pivot table by clicking the Insert tab and selecting Pivot Table. The standard options are fine. Click OK, and it'll open a pivot table in a new worksheet. We want to select date as the row, and then we want to select speed as the values that will be in the column next to it. We have a few different options under value field settings by right-clicking. We want to select count for the first field. Then you can select and drag down another instance of speed. We want to select the field value average. We're going to do this one more time and select minimum speed. And then one last time to select the maximum speed. From here, we want to change the speeds so that the decimal points are only 2 digits by selecting the cells and reducing the amount of digits we have. From here, we'll add a column and call it 85th percentile. And to start calculating the 85th percentile, we're going to open each one of these cell tables and apply an 85th percentile for those spreadsheets. Before we do that, to prevent some confusion, let's label this as pivot table for the sheet name. Next, we want to click any one of the calculated values. So we'll click the count of speed value. By double-clicking on it, it opens up a table showing all of the values that are within that table for that particular date. The key thing to keep in mind is that this is based off of the Arizona date, which has been processed from the UTC time. Because the UTC time is set to Greenwich Meridian time, because of the 7-hour difference, some times that happen close to around midnight will be on different days. So we want to repeat this step for each one of these cell tables. This is again achieved by double-clicking on each one of the calculated cell values for each row. As it opens in a separate spreadsheet that's named sheet and a number that's consecutive. We now have sheets that are open that are corresponding to each one of the data rows. To calculate an 85th percentile, we then want to click the formula equals percentile inc that the range is inclusive. The array we want to select will first start on sheet 2 under column H for the speeds. Simply selecting the column will be enough to calculate the full array. To complete the formula, we want to hit comma, as you notice up here in the formula tab, and 0.85 to get that 85th percentile. We close that out by closing out the parentheses, and then we hit enter. So the formula should look like this. Sheet 2, the column, comma, and the percentage of the percentile. From here, we can drag this value down to create a similar formula. But for each row, we're going to have to change it from sheet 2 to the corresponding sheet of that row. Since we opened them all up in order, these should correspond consecutively, 3, 4, 5, and etc. When you get to the last cell, it should correspond with the last sheet that you have opened up, so sheet 16. From here, we can click those sheets, hit the Shift button, and select a whole range to select all of the sheets. By right-clicking, we can hide these sheets so that they're no longer there for confusion. At the bottom of this, let's calculate a percentile for the array of daily 85th percentiles. We're going to hit comma, 0.85, and close the bracket. So we have that. To match the formatting, we'll just select the same color, bold. Same thing at the bottom, color, bold. I'm going to apply some borders just in case this sheet needs to be printed out ever. So from here, we're going to create one more sheet. We're going to call this sheet charts. Because the pivot table is now made up of a mix of both the information that's in the pivot table, which represents these columns, and this additional column that was added that's not part of the pivot table, the easiest way to create a chart that will blend the two sets of data will be to select all of these cells, copy it, paste it into a new sheet. We'll go right around row 21, and we'll paste this as a special property as just values. Now we have all the calculated data as simply just raw text, raw numbers. From here, let's pretty it up again by adding some color, bolding them, and adding our borders. From here, we can label these so that they're a bit more meaningful. Date, count, average, speed, min speed, min speed, max speed, and 85th percentile. We'll reduce these decimals so that they're just representing 2 digits. And there we have our data set. From here, we want to create a chart, and we'll do this by selecting all the values except for the grand total values. We can then click on Insert, go to Charts. We're going to go to All Charts, select the line chart, and hit OK. This will automatically put it into the same worksheet that we're working with. From here, I like to move it up to just above the chart and adjust the size so that it's about the same width as the chart. From here, we can change this graph so that it's only showing the 85th percentile and the average speed. You can show any values that you like, but those will probably be the most meaningful on a graph. We do this by, in the Design tab, we're going to click on Select Data, and we're going to deselect Count, Min Speed, Max Speed. And we're just going to leave average speed and 85th percentile. Click OK, and that will adjust your chart. To make this a little easier to look at, let's go ahead and double click on the vertical axis values. We're going to go to number. We're going to put the decimal place at 0. That'll just give us the whole numbers. We also want to select chart element and go to axis titles. Under vertical, we want to add miles per hour just to make the speed a little bit more meaningful. From here, we want to apply a title that's meaningful to this data set. We're going to call it average speed. and 85th percentile speed. Next line, per day. I like to select this and set it to a size 14 font. From here, we want to go ahead and save this data. Save as, I'm going to save it to my desktop. You want to select it as Excel workbook. That'll allow you to go back at any time to revisit the pivot table or any of the Excel data that's in here. To save it as a PDF, simply click Save As, go again to maybe your desktop. And if you have the extension added to your computer for PDF writing, you should see an option to save it as a PDF down below. So go ahead and click that as well. So the finished result, you end up with this chart.